This press conference will be a series of speakers. You have the list of names. They'll introduce themselves. And we will not be taking questions from here. There are some members who speak who will be making themselves available outside afterward, but we will not be taking questions in this space. So, thank you. I think, we know that we live in brittle times. I think, we wake up each morning wondering, what's the next thing that's going to show us the shattering of our social relationships. We see it so much, we experience that shattering so much, the brittleness, that we wonder at times if we can ever find healing. In fact, I'm pretty sure that some of us wonder if healing is even possible. Today we're going to hear an apology. You're here because there's an apology being offered. But this is not about today. This is about a long journey within our city to make today possible. This is about people telling truth to the Imam, about the impact of his words. Those people are from the Islamic community, and those people are from the Jewish community. And the only reason they could do that is because of the work and the groundwork that others have laid. They're not extraordinary people. They're not extraordinary in what they did. Although I will acknowledge there are some very extraordinary people here. And I'm looking right at you, Seth Castleman. This is the groundwork that's been laid in our community over a decade. The celebration of Abraham brought people together in a moment of great brokenness in our city. More recently, the outreach of the Jewish community to the Islamic community when the hate incidents were done at the mosque. That's the groundwork. It's a groundwork of human relationships. It's a groundwork that stands against the shattering. That's why we can be here today to hear an apology. The question is going to be, is it enough? Is it enough? And the answer must surely be no. It is not enough. The hurts are deep. Words were spoken that are harmful and hurtful. One statement cannot be enough. However, it cannot be enough also because we live in a storm. We are living in the moment of the great shattering of our society. Everything outside is telling us that brokenness is the way forward. And so we're standing here against that brokenness. But it's a storm. It's a shattering. And we have the responsibility of day to day picking up those pieces and putting them together to repair the breaches in the walls. We can only continue the work that's been done over the past decade in this community. But when I say it's not enough, I want to be clear. It doesn't have to be enough. It doesn't have to be enough because it is the beginning. It is a step in the process of healing. If we are to have a restored community, then we will go from this place where an initial acknowledgement of harms happens to walk forward, to discuss, and decide together how we, as a Davis community, will make the harms right. And I believe that they will be made right in time. I look forward to the comments of others, and I look forward to a process whereby we can take the harms and rejoice together because we found a way to make those harms right. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Don Saylor. I'm a Yolo County supervisor. Within the district that I represent to serve Yolo County resides Bet Havrim, a wonderful congregation, a beautiful community. Also within that same district is the Davis Islamic Center, a wonderful place for people to come together from all around the world to meet and to worship and to and in many cases to get to know what this community is all about. A few days ago, like most of you, my heart was broken. Ugly words were spoken in our community, and it hurt us. Today, we are demonstrating what can happen when people have built a relationship that's based on sincere quest for understanding and for connection. That's happened in this community. This doesn't happen everywhere something like this takes place. In many places, we could be in the streets, we could be protesting, we could be fighting. But the people here choose a different course. I'm so proud of our community today as we recommit to understanding, awareness, and continuing to build the bonds that form the fabric of this community. Thank you all for being here.
I'm the Reverend Elizabeth Banks, Senior Minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Davis. This is an extraordinary time in our nation's history. It's a time when there are looming threats to so many groups in our country. And we must do better than the language that we hear coming from the highest office in our country. Just as I received Seth's invitation, his plea to come here this morning, I was reading these words in The Guardian that said, hatred is the gateway to discrimination. Harassment is the pathway to violence. And hate speech is the foundation for harmful acts against each other. We all have the capacity to speak against others and to make them less than human, but we are called to be human beings together, to seek understanding and not act from fear or anger. And we are called to take hatred and fear and transform them into compassion and something that is more beautiful. Sometimes out of our most painful moments, that is when we are given the opportunity to cross a bridge to beauty and strength.
Good morning. I'm Samira Ali, and I'm Secretary of the Council of Sacramento Valley Islamic Organizations. So COSBIO has actually put out a statement, but I'm only going to be reading a portion of it, so it will be emailed out and will be available for everyone to read online. So Assalamu alaikum. I start with the Muslim greeting, which roughly translates into peace. We are deeply troubled and feel the pain of the Jewish community. On behalf of the Sacramento area mosques and Islamic organizations, we wish to state unequivocally that the Islamic faith does not condone any harming of an innocent person, regardless of their faith. The City of Davis and the broader Sacramento communities have enjoyed a long and proud tradition of interfaith dialogue and mutual love and respect for people of all faith traditions. The Sacramento Valley Muslim community commits to doing its part to maintain strong bonds of friendship with our Jewish brothers and sisters, as well as all members of other faiths. Thank you.
Bruce Palmer, Chair of the Jewish Community Relations Council. When I think back to a day or so ago, when I first heard the remarks, I was so angry. I was furious. But through the process of the last several hours and days, as I worked with the Muslim community to bring about this event, the process of dealing with a problem, coming together, has created a great deal of hope in my mind and made me realize that we have the foundation to keep working together that we have a great relationship over time, and we can keep that relationship together. And it is so important now that we be together because of the forces we face. We're allies most of the time. And when we got done preparing for this event, we were allies again. So I look forward to continuing that relationship, keeping it going. It's so important that we talk among ourselves, that we never get isolated, that we keep that flow of information and dialogue going, because that's the only way we're going to hold the social fabric together in this difficult time of conflict and turmoil. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Amr Zadan. I'm the president of the Islamic Center of Davis. And I speak on behalf of our entire community when I say we are fortunate to have a Jewish community here who's always stood by us, never failed to stand by us at times of need. And we only want to see that relationship grow. At the Islamic Center of Davis, I want to reiterate that we stand against all forms of hate, bigotry, and anti-Semitism. I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank the venue owners for allowing us to be here and the help of Bruce Palmer and Seth Castleman to prepare this event. Thank you.
In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, I'd like to start by this. I have spent my entire time in religious service helping Muslims, especially young Muslims, have a healthy understanding of their faith, a healthy understanding of Islam that is free of extremism and hate. Our Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, was a man who always acted out of wisdom, humility, compassion, and fairness to everyone he encountered. I believe we all need to speak and act with wisdom, compassion, and a sense of fairness with everyone, whether we agree with them or not. Recently in my sermons, I let my emotions get the best of me and cloud my better judgment. I said things that were hurtful to Jews. This was unacceptable. To the Jewish community here in Davis and beyond, I say this deeply. I am deeply sorry for the pain I have caused. The last thing that I would do is intentionally hurt anyone, Muslim, Jewish, or otherwise. It's not in my heart. Never it was, nor does my religion allow it. I do understand now how words were hurtful, and I'm sorry. I understand that speech like this can encourage others to do hateful and violent act. For this, I truly apologize. Words does matter and have consequences. Over the past few days, I have had the opportunity to discuss the content of my sermon with several individuals inside the Muslim community and outside of the Muslim community, and have come to realize the level of harm it has caused. Indeed, commitment to defending religious rights in Jerusalem should not cause division or fan the flame of anti-Semitism. Today, I'm out here today thanking everyone, and I commit to working hard and will join effort for mutual understanding and building bridges. As a young religious leader, this has humbled me. I hope to grow and develop as a more worthy leader in the community and seek your support in navigating the better path toward understanding and healing. As American Muslims and Jewish communities have made remarkable progress in recent years, working together to address civil rights and social justice. I look forward to increasing my interfaith activity to create a deeper understanding and mutual respect for the purpose of working to stop hate speech and violence. Thank you very much.
My name is Rabbi Seth Kesselman from here in Davis, California. Sheikh Shaheen. I deeply appreciate and accept your words of apology. Thank you. And as you know as well as I, apologies are only as worthy as the actions that follow. So I call upon you, I implore you, to follow those words with actions as you spoke of. That your sermons, your teachings, your guidance as a spiritual leader, your actions in the world live up to the words that you have spoken. And I know that the Muslim community, the Jewish community, the Davis community and beyond will be looking for that and demanding that. And nothing less than that will satisfy the community that you serve and I serve. Mayor Rob Davis began our press conference this morning by talking about the shattered nature of the world. In Judaism, there is a mystical understanding that the world was created in shatteredness. That when God created the world, there was a vessel of materiality, of earth. And when infusing it with life, breathing the fire of God into it, materiality and spirituality, when they met in pure forms, it exploded. And so the world we have today is in fact broken, as Mayor Davis spoke of. And in Judaism we say it is made up of broken shards of the earth and hidden sparks of divinity. To heal the world, to me, means putting those broken pieces back together and finding those hidden sparks. For 4 hours yesterday, in a cozy room in the mosque not far from here, a group of 7 or 8 of us met and worked and hashed things out and talked and understood each other more and found that we agreed far more than we disagreed. That was putting the broken pieces back together, and also there were holy sparks that came out there as well as we shared theological and spiritual teachings. I hope this will continue. The healing in the world, the healing here in Davis, I hope they both will continue. My first words were to Sheikh Shaheen. My last words are to my friend, Amar. I count you as a colleague. I hope that you can live up to being amongst your colleagues here as one of many clergy here in Davis. We are here to support you, to guide you, and to take your guidance. With that,
here and around the world, frankly, is calling for Homeland Security to investigate. I guess, what's the next step from here, given the international outreach?
Well, I think, the Muslim community has come out loud and clear saying that there's zero tolerance in the community for anti-Semitism, and using this as a learning opportunity where religious leaders and community leaders around the country have been paying close attention to this incident, and also to show that the Jewish community, what they demonstrated, restorative mercy, and really giving this Imam another chance to redeem himself and to address these issues publicly to the community. And so I think it was a very powerful moment just a few minutes ago to see the Muslim and Jewish community coming together and really showing the Jewish community demonstrating restorative mercy. I mean, it was just very, very humbling to see that.
What's your reaction to the calls around the world for Homeland Security to investigate?
I mean, they could. I mean, people will call for investigations, but the community called for mercy and justice, and people held accountable for their speech because words do matter and have consequences. And so I think, a lot of folks are going to be looking at this this situation and to see how we can learn from it and to ensure it never happens again in any mosque or any religious institution.
And what was your reaction when you saw this story?
I mean, the community was shocked. I mean, the community was shocked, was hurt, and addressed it immediately. Got working immediately behind the scenes to address it, and they did.
Do you consider it hate speech?
Yes, certainly. I mean, it was certainly, no matter what the context was, it came out as hate speech, and that's what the community condemned and addressed.
There have been recent acts of hate at this mosque here in Davis and Sacramento. So is there concern for you in our area that there will be other acts of hate due to this?
I mean, that's not right now. That's not the focus right now. We're not thinking about that. We're just thinking about how to heal and how to work with the Jewish community to address this issue.
How much progress do you think today made?
I think it made tremendous progress. I mean, the relationship with the Jewish community has been strong, especially over the past decade, and I think it was strengthened through this process and addressing this issue. I think it was strengthened.
Just to add to context, what do you think led to those conflicts last Friday for individuals who don't understand?
What was happening in Jerusalem, which of course we'll never justify it, but it was happening overseas.
So I had heard it before. I was not going to come and be part of this, or I was not going to have him come and be part of this, or we were not going to come and be part of this together if it was not something that I felt like I at least personally could appreciate and accept. I thought it was sincere. I thought it was contrite. I thought it was heartfelt. And I thought it got to the heart of the matter. And there were other pieces that he wanted to include as well about really trying to explain why he had chosen words that he now realizes are really not the appropriate words, and how he sees how hurtful they are. And he really wished that he could help people understand why he had mischosen. And this isn't about explaining it away. It's about saying, I am so sorry and I will do it differently. So I was touched. And again, it can pull on my heartstrings, but it's really about what happens going forward from here. The actions, the change, that's what's really required. And of course, it's much bigger than just here. There is hate speech going on in all faith communities and all cultural communities around the city, around the state, around the country, around the world. We know that all too well.
What would you like to see happen next?
I would like to see there being less hate coming out of our government in Washington. I would like to see a severe decline in anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and anti-immigration rhetoric and policy. In terms of this specifically, although I do think there's a correlation in many ways with many of these things, I would like to see the mosque continue to have an open door policy of allowing people to come in and worship with them, which they do. Open lines of communication between the communities. We invite the Imam to come and speak with the Board of Rabbis of Greater Sacramento and to join the interfaith clergy group here in Davis. I'd like to see this type of rhetoric no longer used in mosques, in study groups, and similar language not used in other communities that are using it, Muslim or otherwise.
And you talked about yesterday meeting to speak about some theological issues and some philosophical issues, and that helped facilitate what happened today. Can you run me through that, what you accomplished in that conversation?
Well, some of it is he and I are both clergy and men who have dedicated much of our lives to our faith path. So we actually we had met at a number of different interfaith events over the years, but we met for the first time at length for 2 hours on Tuesday evening in someone's home here in Davis. And in that meeting, some of what we talked about was our understanding of what our role was, our understanding of what God is, our understanding of how we can open people's eyes to truth and to social justice, and without getting too much into the specifics of it, it was meaningful to see how much commonality there was. He is a much more dedicated scholar than I am in this stage of my life, so it was very heartwarming for me to sort of be immersed once again in those types of dialogue. So it was more than anything, it was a way of us of finding connection, to then build on that so that he could trust me when I was demanding, this is what the Jewish community needs to hear, and I know it's hard to eat your humble pie, and I know it's hard to stand up and speak a public apology, and I know you think, things were misconstrued and you want to say that, but you can't. And he was able to hear that in part because we had started with the foundation of a shared, common faith foundation. He may use the word Allah, I may use the word Adonai. There is much less difference than there is commonality.
And then for you, how important is the language in these types of situations?
The language in the situations is what he said here, or what he says in the mosque?
In the mosque.
Oh, well, so I think it is. I think it's the utmost importance is if it is dry. The highest priority is to stop anything that may be driving other people or encouraging other people to violence. And even if he is not intending that, he now realizes that other people could take what he says and act on that. So in that regard, it is of the utmost importance. Even a step below that, though, if he is meaning it, or even if he's not, but other people are hearing it as it being okay, it being acceptable by my faith leader to be hateful to a whole group of people, to a whole ethnic, cultural, religious group of people. That's damaging. It's certainly damaging to the Jewish people, but it's also damaging to the hearts and minds of the people who are hearing it and the people that are saying it, and the Muslim community as well. So as he said, words matter. Words have consequences. And as two preachers, he and I, we make our living on words.
And then lastly, what were your feelings about the apology today?
I was touched by it. I was moved by it. I think it's a very big step, a very big first step in a long process that needs to continue. The apology today, I think most importantly, what touched me, having read it before, was how sincere I felt he was in sharing his words.
Rabbi, considering that the local Muslim community has been the victims of a couple of acts of hate recently, did this come as especially shocking?
I'm not sure if I see the connection, because as I've been trying to explain for better or for worse, this type of language has been used in Muslim sermons across the country and around the world for years. For better or for worse, this is not so much an anomaly as people would like to think. So I don't think there's much of a correlation.
All right, Rabbi Seth Castleman, thank you, sir.
You're very welcome.